Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Young Minds Unplugged, a modern perspective on parenting. Firstly, thank you so much for supporting this podcast and supporting this show, and it really makes us feel proud to see the comments and to see the interactions that we are getting. And the purpose of this show was, of course, to reach out to parents, reach out to teenagers, and create that entire essence of communication within them. Not that it does not happen. I'm a parent too. By the way, my name is Amandeep Singh, and who am I? That we'll see. You'll get to know me once as the show progresses, right? I'm also a parent, and then what happens is parents look at their kids, of course, as kids. But kids at the same time are growing up, and they need some validation that they have grown up. And that's where the communication gap happens. But through this podcast, Manisha ma'am and Avnish are trying to sort of break those notions and talk about how their journey has been together throughout Avnish's growing up, and how it has shaped Avnish, how those small decisions that ma'am takes shaped Avnish into what he is today. Now, this is sort of a bonus episode. We didn't want to just restrict this conversation to one episode because it's a very, very crucial subject. In the coming episodes, you'll see these conversations, these sort of topics coming up once again. The topic for today, it basically starts with Avnish, right? So Avnish, of course, when he was growing up, kids have, a lot of fights with their friends, so to speak, right? And then a general, you can say a muscle memory or a general behavior that every kid has is that they will immediately go to their parents and ask them to sort it out for them, right? So firstly, let's hear that story of how Avnish used to come up to his mother and ask her to sort of, speak to his friends, speak to their parents and sort out his issues for him. And that's where she put her foot down that no, not gonna happen. You'll have to fight it for yourself. And what impact did it have on Avnish and what evolution sort of his brain went through? Of course, it created an immediate short-term ruffle between them, amongst them. But then in the longer run, he's learned a big social lesson. So first, let's go and hear it from Avnish as to how he felt, what he felt during those times when he would come up crying, fighting with his friends, and his mother would say, no buddy, you gotta sort it out for yourself.
Okay, so towards the beginning when we moved here, I was really small, right? So for me, having fights with my friends, and this was I didn't really I didn't really have that many fights with my friends, but some of my friends used to have fights with others. So in the group itself, there used to be many individual fights, and I observed that they used to get their parents to like scold the other kid, and then this used to happen not that frequently, but I observed that. So then one time, the whole group for some reason was against me. I do not know why. I actually forgot the reason. I must have done something. Then I was really mad at them. But I remember coming up to the house and asking you to tell them to yeah. And you straight up said no. It is your own battle. You fight it yourself.
Yes.
And in the beginning I was really mad because why aren't you helping me? You're supposed to support me, right? You're my mom. But then later on, as the time went on, but after that experience, after I went down and I sorted things out with them, obviously I didn't go down for the next 5 or 6 days because I was really mad at them. But then I decided that I reflected on it and I thought I might have done something to hurt them. So I went and apologized. And even they apologized for what they did. So we all sorted it out and we were all back together. That's when I realized that I can solve my own problems. Yes. When it comes to social circle, I am the only one who has to solve my own problems. Yes. I can't let anyone interfere.
Yes.
So also then as a person, it shaped me, and now the group of friends which I have, I rarely have any fights, and even if I do, I sort them out then and there.
Oh, great.
I don't wait for any kind of something to go down or there is some fighting or anything. No, I sort it out. I ask the person frankly in front of their face, do you have a problem with me? If they say yes, then we sort it out, and if no, then why are you doing this? Yes. Then I find out the problem and I try to solve it on my own.
Great.
So that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yes.
When these things happened, when Avnish was going through all of this, right? So you heard the story, it eventually changed his perception of sitting with his friends, sorting it out. Now that's a very important social lesson, and this is where this is where the message has been quite consistent throughout all our episodes, that as parents, of course, we're very protective about our kids. I'm a parent myself. I have an 11-year-old daughter growing up to be a very sensible girl. But then what happens is our notions, right? We still see that kid as a kid. But what that does for the kid is it sort of creates a mental block around them that, okay, I've got my parents to back me up, but what happens when they go outside, the world doesn't care. And that's a very important lesson for the parents. This is where Manisha ma'am always says that the parents should be a part of the ecosystem but not control the ecosystem. Kids have their own ecosystem, they have their own friend circle. Parents should be the essence of it. Parents should not be the controlling mechanism of it. You support your child, you teach them those important lessons, but let them go figure it out for themselves, because until unless they don't do it by themselves, they will never understand how to handle these critical situations. And we all know, we've all grown up through those days and those stages wherein our parents may or may not have intervened in our friendship fights, but then because we decided to take things in our matter during our corporate life, during our personal life, during our professional associations, it has shaped up our decisions. It has shaped us into who we are. It makes us resilient. So in order to make kids resilient, it's always better to support the ecosystem, nurture the ecosystem, nurture the friend circle that the kids have, but not control it. Let your children, let your kids, let our kids decide, control and drive their own ecosystem. So on this note, I will say goodbye to you. Thank you once again for tuning into the podcast. Manisha ma'am has one last message to share, and after that, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Like I said, don't get into the ecosystem, but try to understand the ecosystem. Just being an observer, try to understand the ecosystem. Befriend their friends. Their friends also should feel comfortable talking to you. So make them feel homely, and then you will get to know with whom your child is hanging, which will low down the stress. Because parents are worried that I don't know where he is, with whom he is, and I don't know what influence he's having. And many a times in our earlier days also, and now also, parents come up with this, nahi uske dosti achhe nahi hai, his friend circle is not good. So yes, I can understand what is this good or bad, like we are talking about. Maybe that influence is not right for your child. So how do you get the child out of it? Is that taking the child into trust, understanding his ecosystem, understanding his friend circle in a proper way. So even parents need to take a step forward to understand the kid's ecosystem. Not get into the ecosystem or interfere with the ecosystem, but understand the ecosystem. Because that will help a lot. Your stress will come down, your worry will come down. You will not be worried with whom he's hanging or what he's doing, you know. So you will be at peace, okay, he is with this person. And like what Avnish said, there are friends who uplift you. They help you at different levels. And for the teenagers, you will have to explore and find your right kind of crowd, which you will adapt you, which will help you grow.